Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are well. So if you've been on this channel long enough, you definitely know that I am a mentor advocate. I always talk about mentors, and I always advise people to get mentors to just accomplish their goals and their dreams. And for me, one of the biggest things that have been so instrumental to my growth is just having people that were able to guide me in terms of the things that I wanted to do, because I figured at some point in my life that I really don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can always just get help and piggyback on the people that have really run the race so I can walk. So that's been my greatest advantage. And I've been very fortunate enough to have different platforms to really just educate and inform people about how to go about it. So if you haven't watched any of my mentorship videos, I would really advise that you do that. They would be super beneficial for you. I can promise that. So I'm going to link them on the description bar below so you can actually have a watch. However, one of the biggest things that I've realized in, over the past years, for those that do not know, I've been running a business for over 4 years, actually almost 5 years in February now. And my interactions with mentors have been rather interesting in a sense that from the moment I started till now, they have been changing so much. I think it has a lot to do with growth, and also has a lot to do with like now kind of knowing or being in the mentorship field as well, and just kind of knowing a lot of things. So the purpose of this video today is it's just going to be super laid back and relaxed, and we're just going to talk a little bit more about I'm just going to share with you guys definitely my experience with mentors and how it's been changing throughout the season. So this is definitely not tea unless you want to look at it that way, but it's just to make you kind of aware, because I feel like if I knew these things before, maybe I probably would have been in a different space in my life. So yeah, let's get into the video. When I started, this is like, I remember I started my business at like the age of 19. But when I started doing the whole planning and really just trying to get into my career for such a long time, I actually would approach each and every single person that I knew that was successful. So if I found someone on social media that seemed successful, that looked successful, I would definitely be on their DMs trying to really get mentorship, because my whole thing was, geez, you're successful. And by successful, I'm explaining it in a sense that they achieved the things that I wanted to achieve. They had the things that I wanted to have. And I always had that mentality that if you got these things, like, teach me how to get them, teach me how you managed to do it, because I've always been an ambitious young one. So within going through that phase, I was approaching each and every single person that looked like it. Would I do that right now? Definitely not. Would I advise other people or people that are starting to go that route? Absolutely not, because there's a number of things that I learned the hard way, in a sense that sometimes people actually look like they are successful, but they're actually not. Sometimes people talk like it, but they're actually not, and it really opened up a different facet of what do I actually look into or look at when I look for a mentor. And hopefully this video, we are going to talk a little bit about that and really kind of enlighten you when you are looking for a mentor, what to look out for, what you need to open your eyes to, and how to make sure that you're actually making the right selection and the right choice. And even through it, like, are some mentorships meant to last forever? Some mentorships are definitely seasonal, and those are things that I've started to. So let me actually get into the lessons that I've learned. Is that some of these people that we asked to mentor us have not mentored before. They've never been approached to mentor. So chances are they don't even know how to mentor, but because it's such a great word and makes them feel, some of them makes them feel a little bit more successful, or it's something that they definitely really want to start doing, but they don't know how to do it. So sometimes you might actually be a guinea pig for your mentor, in a sense that they get to mentor you, but they don't know how to do it. Now, it is very important for this point for you to really know what you want to get out of the mentor. And it's something that I really talk about in the mentorship video that I'm going to link down here and possibly up here as well, where how do you actually determine who you are? How do you actually determine who you want to be mentored? No. How do you choose the mentor that you want? And it is so important for you to realize that if you're going to ask somebody to mentor you, you need to be able to know what it is you want out of that mentorship relationship. Because especially if you get somebody who has not mentored other people, you are able to at least give them a little bit of an insight, or rather a bit of direction, in the sense that you are obviously communicating what your expectations are, and they would be able to deliver upon those things so that you are not disappointed. My second lesson is definitely that they are human, like all of us. So for me, my biggest thing was that whenever I approached somebody to mentor me when I was a lot younger, so it's like 5 years ago, I think maybe 3, coming into 2-ish. um, I looked into people, and sometimes when somebody's successful or we look up to somebody, we have this certain idea of what we think that person is. We have this certain idea of how we think that person walks, how we think that person eats, how we think that person speaks. And then sometimes you meet them and you realize that, why are they basic, in a sense that they're not like, you don't get the extraordinary actions that you thought you would. And for me, it has been humbling to really realize that mentors or people that we look up to are definitely just normal people like each and every one of us, in the sense that they also have issues, they've got their own thorns that they're dealing with, they have their own character traits that they're possibly trying to work on, and they're not perfect. And sometimes we look at mentorship as a word of this perfection thing. That's why I'll always refer to the first point and say to you guys, you need to be able to decide what it is you want out of that relationship, because once you know what it is you want out of that mentorship relationship, it's so much easier to cut out the fluff. It's like, oh, this person drinks the worst coffee, I don't like their morning habits. But that's not why you are there. You are there to learn X, Y, and Z, and then you will definitely focus your energies into learning X, Y, Z, and you won't be minding a lot of the other things that don't really matter much to you at that time. So it's something important to definitely remember, that they are human, and don't back up when you see things that you don't like, or their personal lives. When you start hearing how they speak to their helpers or whatever the case is, those are just people that are flawed, and you get what you need to get out of that mentor and you keep it moving, darling. The third one is that sometimes you will see character traits and things from mentors that you totally do not like, that you hate. And one of the things I've actually realized is that sometimes God puts people in my life for me to see what could be of me if I don't change a certain characteristic of my life. So for instance, you realize that you ask somebody to mentor you and they're really great, and while you're walking on that journey, you realize that, okay, wait, this is probably their downfall, and if they don't fix this, they're probably going to be on the ground years to come. And sometimes you shouldn't back down from people like that. God places them so that you can see, or maybe because you have the nudge to work on that, you can actually work on them together, which is actually very interesting. So realize that you're always not going to get the full package. And it's so much easier when you see somebody on Instagram, on Twitter, and all those things, and you look up to them and you have this certain idea of how they speak because you watch their videos, you watch this, and then when you meet them, you realize, okay, cool, I really don't like this characteristic of this person. But don't write them off. Realize that there's always something to learn from each and every single person, and the fact that they are where they are not because they are stupid, but because they're smart. And sometimes we can really say, okay, wait, this characteristic is bad, therefore they're not. Just don't take that for granted, and realize that they are where they are because they did put in the work. Yes, the characteristic might not be the great one, but you never know what you could learn out of them when you press on. And again, like every single point I'll say in this video, I will always refer you to the first one. If you know what it is that you want to get out of that relationship, it becomes so much easier for you to just ignore all these other things, because sometimes they're not your choices, or sometimes it's seasonal. You can ignore all these other things so that you can learn the thing that you want to learn right now. My fourth one is definitely learn from all of them, and learn as much as you can. And sometimes the lessons that you are going to be taking from them might not be positive lessons, in the sense that, like I was referring to you guys earlier, that sometimes you realize that, okay, this character trait is not what I like from them. However, use that as a learning point, in a sense that when you see that, okay, cool, this is my mentor, they're great at running a business, they're great at doing all these things, but they suck at time management. You then need to take that and actually start learning and just gearing yourself up to realize that, wait a minute, I need to get good at my time management, because I do not want to grow and be this big and still lack time management. So you even take the negatives as lessons for yourself as well in your life, because it becomes so much easier for you to realize, okay, cool, this is something that I need to learn. And I mean, a lot of people, including myself, I normally say that sometimes, God is not a God of coincidences, and sometimes people do come in your life so you can learn something. And sometimes you learn from the negative that they give off. You learn from the negative that you say, to say, okay, wait a minute, I don't like this. And because you don't like it probably means that this is not the person that you want to be. And sometimes you will get mentors that have the same characteristics as you, and you realize, wait a minute, I actually do this and it irritates me, therefore it will irritate the people that I work with, so I need to work on it. So be very open-minded in your engagements with people, especially with mentors, because sometimes it gets so difficult, since we regard them to be so high. We want them to be, these polished people, but at the end of the day, like I had said, they are still human, and they will have negative things every now and then, especially when you start getting a lot more closer. Number 5, The fifth lesson that I have learned is that mentors also feed off you. There is nothing as spectacular as, being or mentoring somebody that reminds you of a possible younger version of you, which is super important. As I've grown in the area and I've met a lot of young people that are ambitious, and some of them, it's such a privilege to actually have people around me that remind me of the 18-year-old me, the 19-year-old me, the 20-year-old me, which is super interesting. So realize that mentors also feed off you, and it's always a win-win or a give and gives relationship. It's never a give and take all the time. And I talk about this a lot on the video that we have on this channel, mentorship, that is linked on the description bar below. But always remember that it is a relationship that you have to build with your mentor. It is a relationship. So a relationship means that you are also giving them something. You're also giving them your time, your whatever it is, even if it's insights, but it's not always one-sided. So be very mindful of that. Next, and the last lesson that I learned is that you won't always have them for forever, in a sense that sometimes mentors are seasonal and they're not meant to be in your lives forever. Sometimes you probably need them to just start up a business, and once you're good and once you're running, you probably need another mentor who's run a business for a longer time, or whatever the case is. But this is just a point of encouragement to say, if you have a mentor currently, understand and realize that there's a possibility that you won't have them forever, because they might get big and get too busy. You might get big and get too busy, whatever the case is. But learn as much as you can during that time that you have them, so that you're able to grasp all the information and all the lessons that they have to give to you. And I think it would be such a waste of time for you to, think that you're going to learn something over years and then not eventually have the mentor in your life over that period of time. So really grasp yourself and just dedicate yourself to learning all those things that you're being taught by your mentors. But guys, those are just a few things that I learned that I've experienced within, giving a number of mentors. I still have a number of amazing mentors that, I get to sit with, and I get to really pick a bit of insight. And, there is some that have been seasonal, and it's been super fruitful for me in all ways. And these are just about 6 things that I've learned within my journey of mentorships. And I hope that it has been super instrumental to it. I think it'll kind of give you a bit of insight as well, to not be hard on yourself and not be hard on the mentors as well, So I just want to encourage you to really look for mentors that will definitely feed you in the right direction, that will definitely be super impactful to you in your life. And sometimes there could be one-on-one mentors, sometimes there could be, virtual mentors, whatever the case is. But you need to have people that are actually walking with you in your journey of life, in your journey of business, in your career, in your spiritual life. You need mentors for every single aspect of your life for you to be able to grow, because some of the mistakes that you're going to encounter in your life, somebody has been through them, and it's so much easier when somebody can actually walk you through each and every single one of them. So it's super important. However, I really do hope that this video has been super informative and impactful to you, and I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button onto the channel. I will see you guys again next time. Bye.